Hello, everyone. We are here for the LISA 2020 Symposium plenary event, and we'll get started in a few minutes.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Hello. Hello, Dr. Serifat.
Hello, Eric.
Hello.
Can
Hello.
you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, so I'll do a quick introduction. So again, welcome everybody to LISA 2020 Symposium. This is a session about statistical literacy in wider society, and it's organized and chaired by Dr. Serifat Folorunso. So, I first met Dr. Serifat in 2015 before the University of Ibadan Laboratory for Interdisciplinary Statistical Analysis, UI-LISA, before it even started. She's been there since its inception and been part of UI-LISA. And so now I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Serifat Folorunso, to go ahead and introduce our three speakers and introduce the session.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
We can hear you.
Yeah, good day, everyone. I'm Serifat Folorunso from University of Ibadan, LISA, UI-LISA. I'm the organizer of this section, and I'm currently the administrative coordinator of UI-LISA, and I'm also one of the teaching assistants in the Department of Statistics, as well as a distant learning lecturer in the University of Ibadan. I'm the organizer of this section, and I have three speakers for this talk, for today's talk. The summary of the chapter is Statistical Literacy in Wider Society. And the session focuses on importance of statistics in a society for measuring socioeconomic indicators of individual well-being and subsequent use of this in policymaking at the national, regional, and international levels. The study aims to highlight how knowledge of modern statistical methods help business and industry to make forecasts and avoid uncertainty and risk. It also helps to evaluate productivity and employment strategy in economic sector, and it's used as a discipline in university to promote activities related to research and development. Statistical literacy involves raising awareness about the importance of statistics, how models are used to stimulate random phenomena, and how data are produced to estimate probabilities. This study also is about the use of statistical tools and language in society, mostly in developing countries where statistics is undervalued. The speakers of today's talk are both experienced in academia and in the industry. So I have the first speaker, Dr. Oluwaseun Otekunrin. She's a senior lecturer in the University of Ibadan, and she's also a member of UI LISA network. And her topic is statistical literacy and domain experts, evidence from UI LISA clients. Let me quickly introduce Dr. Otekunrin. Dr. Otekunrin is a senior lecturer in statistics at the Department of Statistics and Information Technology, University of Ibadan. She has dedicated her time to statistical literacy and
So it looks as if we lost Serifat for a little bit, maybe a connection issue. Um, I think she'll try to reconnect. Oops, you're muted, Dr. Serifat.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, permit me to welcome Dr. Oluwaseun Otekunrin to give her talk. You are welcome, ma'am.
Hello everyone, I am Oluwaseun Otekunrin from the Department of Statistics, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. I'm here to present a talk titled Statistical Literacy and Domain Experts, Evidence from UI LISA Clients. I'll be guided by this outline. High-quality interdisciplinary research depends on the expertise of collaborators in any research team. According to Sajid et al. Of 2016, collaborators should possess literacy skills in information and communication technology, statistics, and critical thinking. This means that researcher or the domain expert should be statistically literate. Then what is statistical literacy? According to Wallman 1993, statistical literacy is the ability to understand and critically evaluate statistical results that permeate our daily lives, and the ability to appreciate the contributions that statistical thinking can make in public, private, professional, and personal decisions. The more informed people are about figures and official statistics, the better their assessment of the meaning and quality of data. People should be able to interpret and evaluate critically any statistical information. Also, They should be able to communicate their findings in a way that will enhance better decision making. If domain experts are statistically literate, then they will have proper understanding of text, tables, and graphs in their research reports, enabling them to have better presentation of statistical aspects of their research. Therefore, the goal of this presentation is to assess the degree of statistical literacy among domain experts within and outside of the University of Ibadan, noting the major statistical challenges and the role of UI-LISA in solving these challenges. Domain experts and statistical skills at the University of Ibadan. There are 96 departments, 13 faculties, and 6 research centers in the university. The domain experts in all these departments and institutes have varying levels of statistical literacy. Why? Because of the difference in their level of exposure to statistics as a discipline. The table before us, table 1, shows commonly used statistical techniques among PhD students in selected science-based disciplines of University of Ibadan. This was called from a publication of the Postgraduate College. The students are from selected disciplines between year 2005 and year 2008. From this table, we can see that most of the students are familiar with descriptive statistics, t-tests, regression analysis, analysis of variance, among others. UI-LISA consultancy services. Since the inception of UI-LISA in 2015, the SAP Lab has been running a vibrant consultant services unit aimed at solving domain experts' research challenges. The picture before us shows UI-LISA team attending to a domain expert. This figure here shows that from year 2015 to year 2020, the UI-LISA has been able to attend to a total of 133 clients, 81 males, 52 females. In this second figure, a further breakdown shows that 52 of the clients are MSc students, 48 are PhD students, 11 are undergraduate students. We have 6 lecturers among them, and then 1 person from the industry. Based on our interactions with the clients, we noticed something that is common as regards the statistical challenges that were presented. The common statistical challenges noticed are: number 1, writing a good research proposal; number 2, constructing good research design; number 3, formulating good research topics and objectives; and challenges with data analysis. With these common challenges, what have we been able to do as members of the UI-LISA team? We have been able to provide solutions to these challenges. For instance, say case 1, a domain expert from the Department of Botany, University of Ibadan, actually a PhD student, had issues with how to write a good research proposal. UI-LISA stepped in, the client was properly guided, and he was able to have a successful defense of his PhD proposal. The head of department of botany, where the client came from, was highly impressed and mandated other students, other postgraduate students from his department to visit UI LISA for better research outputs. Another case is case 3, an undergraduate student from the Department of Geography, University of Ibadan. He had, I think, issues with the determination of a sample size. UI LISA was able to suggest a sampling technique that suits the sampling design with appropriate statistical justification. So after going through all these challenges and providing solutions for our clients, UI LISA was able to highlight general guidelines that clients, domain experts should follow for successful research outputs. So for the first challenge, which is writing a good research proposal, we have these questions that the client should be able to answer. Number 1, what you plan to accomplish. Number 2, why you want to do it. And number 3, how you want to go about it. That's the methodology. Not forgetting the issue of competence, whether will be the research could be handled in the local environment or in Nigeria. Then the work plan, the schedule, and then funding for the research. On the choice of appropriate research design, we emphasize that proper statistical procedures should be adhered to in choosing appropriate research design. If quantitative methods are involved in the research, then we advise that sampling strategies and experimental designs required should be carefully selected. If the research involves qualitative approaches, then we usually advise our clients to do rigorous quality literature search to ensure that they learn about existing research designs before embarking on theirs. If the research is a mixture of quality and it's a mixture of quantitative and qualitative approaches, then we advise the client that he should seek expert advice on the appropriate techniques to be selected. The third challenge, that's statistical consideration for choosing research topics and objectives. The following questions should be answered by the client before settling for a particular research topic. Number 1, do you have interest in the topic, or why are you so curious about the subject matter? In another way, what is the driving force for this particular endeavor? Number 2, is it doable and worthwhile? As in, is it just an academic exercise, or are you actually expecting something measurable from it, something significant that you can hold on to? Number 3, is there adequate time frame to complete the research and gather necessary information? This is especially useful for undergraduates and master's students that have a specified time limit for the completion of their program. Then the next question is it feasible statistically? As in, can we use statistical techniques to arrive at reasonable conclusions? So if the client is able to answer all these questions, then the issue of what the topic should look like will have been resolved. The last challenge is the statistical standards for data analysis. We highlight the following. for choosing appropriate statistical data analysis for the research. First of all, the client should be familiar with the data set. That means the client should go ahead and conduct exploratory data analysis to get important information about the data. Information about issue of outliers, whether the data are evenly spread over high and low values, whether the data are normally distributed or skewed, then the type of distribution of the data, then whether parametric or non-parametric approach should be used for the data set. Then after all this might have been determined, we also advise that the client should not deviate from the research objectives. The statistical analysis should depend on the research objectives. If the objective is descriptive in nature, then the client should opt for a statistical technique that suits that particular purpose. Conclusion. In this presentation, we provided supporting evidence to highlight the important role UI-LISA has been playing in raising statistical literacy levels of domain experts within and outside the university community. This role has contributed to better research outputs of the domain experts. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Folorunso. That was a very good presentation. Thank you. I'm going to call the second speaker, and the person of Mr. Olabi will be speaking on the topic media presentation of statistical reports, how adequate and accurate. Mr. Said Afolabi started his career at Federal Polytechnic Ede, Osun State in 2009. He obtained international diploma in statistics. That was on scholarship. He had a BSc in statistics in 2004 with first class honor in University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and his MSc in statistics in 2009 with a PhD grade, and currently is on his PhD program in the Department of Statistics, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He is a member of UI-LISA and is a member of some professional bodies, among which is Nigerian Statistical Association, Professional Statistical Society of Nigeria, International Biometric Society, Royal Statistical Society, and American Statistical Association. The Afolabi major interests are in environmental statistics, Bayesian inference, and you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the senior colleagues and the colleagues listening to this presentation. I am Afolabi Said Abiodun. I'm here to present a research topic titled Media Presentation of Statistical Reports, How Adequate and Accurate. As we all know, statistics can be defined as collection, organization, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of data, whereby if any of the four mentioned is faulty, there will be bad interpretation. That is our major concern in thinking about this paper. Production and dissemination of statistics shall conform to standard, classification, and procedures. Statistical information release has a lot of effect on our daily activities and long-term expectations, in the sense that if any graph is seen, be it bar chart or pie chart, everybody will be able to interpret it. But if there is faulty in the statistical literacy, there will be bad interpretation to it. What do we mean by statistical literacy? It encompasses the ability to read and interpret statistical data in daily and other media, newspaper, the internet, radio, television, channels, as we are doing is part of it, WhatsApp, and many others. Statistical literacy should be a central priority in training students to understand statistical knowledge that is widely disseminated in the media. There's inevitably arise the need to use statistical literacy in media presentation and election reporting with different statistical methods. The two mentioned aspects is our major concern, and we lay our scenario on this. If you see the diagram, me looking at it, you will have seen, okay, this is what is happening. But if there is faulty in data, definitely there will be bad interpretation to it. The role of media on national statistical system. Media has a versatile role in literature works concerning the national statistical system. The media often misinterprets the statistical information at times if they lack the knowledge. The numerous misunderstandings and misinterpretations of NSS data can be seen in media reports, such as daily newspaper articles or both, probably whether it is printed or online information. Now, these two questions needed to be answered. Does media have any right to present election results? That is the first question. The second one is, how accurate is the methodology of consumer price index before the presentation? If you see this data, we have from July 2019 to April 2020, you will see that we have increment in the consumer price index. Before this data, is there any applications or guidelines that back it up? That's why this paper is important. The first scenario we picked based on the election. In Nigeria, in election conducted in 2007, 2011, and 2015, it has been noticed that if any president is to be emerged in this country, Nigeria, that particular president must have won two particular states, which are Kwara and Benue. But the reverse is the case in terms of 2019 election. Just now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can hear you again.
Huh? Okay. Now, as I was saying, this is the first scenario. Okay, I should share the screen. Okay. Sorry for the interrupted network. As I was saying, from the first scenario, everybody has been predicting, okay, oh, the based on the election in 2019, the President Muhammadu Buhari will not be the elected president. But the reverse is the case. What happened in 2007, 2011, everybody has been saying it, but it was later concluded that the elected president of the 2019 election skipped a particular state between the two, which is the Benue state, but later became the winner. Mere looking at the diagram, you will see that in 2011, the emerged president rather, won the Benue state and Kwara. Same thing happened in Benue in 2015. Benue and Kwara, the emerged president won it, while the reverse is the case in 2019. Second example, Asiru Ito on the 2011 presidential election in Nigeria focuses on the language of the presentation of the election results before the official announcement by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) by the following: Jonathan won convincingly. Jonathan maintained a comfortable lead. The ex-president Jonathan still clinched the mandatory 25% based on the Guardian 2011. If you check this third statement very well, you will discover that it has no backdrop with statistical facts. The third one, the credibility of the 2007 election results in Nigeria was put to question by the divergent stories about the election. This argument was abused grossly. There will inevitably be the need to use statistical literacy in media presentation and election reporting with different statistical methods. The misuse of statistics by the media sector will lead to misinformation about the election in African countries. This may lead to uprising during or after any election. That is the end of the first scenario. We have the second scenario based on the index number. As we all know, index number shows the variation in prices and quantities using the base year and the current year. In this scenario, in a report by a journalist at Lagos, Garden, Mr. Gbenga in 2018 proclaimed that Nigerians will need to brace up for another round of hardship, with the soaring price of food commodities considered as a staple food for households in the country. According to the report, a 50 kg of parboiled rice initially sold between 12,000 to 12,500 naira has risen to between 13,000 to 14,500 naira, depending on the area in the last 2 weeks. This is an example of the rice they sell in Nigeria here. Based on this report, it was not highly reliable. Why? Because price index was based on the available data in different locations from the questionnaire, and that the cost had not really gone up to that extent of the report. You see, we have the example here. This is an example of rice, the brands, and also the types. Based on the presentation of the price index to the public, Afolabi 2018 contributed that market price changes are a phenomenon experienced in most parts of the world. Media activities affect not only price, but also what? The quantity. The price and quantity must be together. Are we seeing increment in the price? Is there a reduction in the quantity? Okay. If the market price is not determined by ability to pay, then information on social media will go viral about it. This causes incorrect conclusion by the media on the price, and thereby leads to the questions on how the index number, both price and quantity, is estimated correctly with the appropriate tools. This is an example of one of the markets we obtain the data from. From data obtained, we now use appropriate statistical tools in analysis index which are two types, the unweighted and the weighted index numbers, where we have the simple average, we have simple aggregate, Laspaye, Pache, Masha, Fisher-Edgeworth, and the last one, Bollis index. The price index, using the base year 2007 and the current year 2017 of the price of Nigeria, then we have increments in the prices, ranges from 51 to 74, while the quantity index, we have increment ranges between 3 to 4. This is not a statistical fallacy, but for media people without statistical knowledge of numerals who know not accurately and adequately report this to the public. In conclusion, this study identified the role of statistical literacy in media reporting. This was emphasized using Nigeria election results and the need for statistical literacy in consumer price index so as to avoid the most of the misconception in consumer price index. Based on the analysis, it is now recommended that there is need for teaching basic statistics to media presenters in order to guarantee and achieve the quality of statistical reporting. Communicating with data will be easy or easier self, and in turn that will yield a good statistical output to the populace. Thanks for listening to me. I am Afolabi Said Abiodun.
Thank you very much, Mr. Said Afolabi. Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation.
No, sir. Let's see, sir.
I've on mute. Can you hear me now? So I'm going to invite the third speaker. So I'm going to invite the third speaker. So it's Mr. Moruf Folorunso. He's a lecturer at Federal School of Statistics, Ajibode, Ibadan, Nigeria. So he'll be talking about the challenges of effective planning in the developing country and appraisal of statistical literacy. Mr. Moruf Folorunso had his first degree in international relations and second degree in peace and conflict studies from Obafemi Awolowo University and University of Ibadan, Nigeria, respectively. He has a national diploma in statistics from Federal School of Statistics, Ibadan, Nigeria. He started his career as a data collector with the Federal Office of Statistics, now National Bureau of Statistics, for many years before he was converted to administrative officer. In view of his experiences and interests, he was later converted to lecturer cadre to teach general studies in Federal School of Statistics, Ibadan, Nigeria, where he is presently. Mr. Moruf Folorunso has done some work on statistics and other areas of socioeconomic research. His most recent was a write-up in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper on 20th October 2020 to mark the World Statistical Day. Let me introduce Mr. Moruf Folorunso to present his talk. Mr. Moruf Folorunso, you can have the floor.
We can hear you a little bit, but Is it possible to speak closer to the microphone? I think we can hear you. Can you test to see if we can hear you?
Good day to you all. Once again, I'm Serifat Folorunso. I appreciate the opportunity given to me. I also appreciate my darling for the great opportunity to do today's presentation. The challenges of effective planning in developing countries, appraisal of statistical literacy. From the title, we can see that there are three key concepts. Planning, that is effective planning, then developing countries, as well as statistical literacy. Planning is a pattern used in approaching development agenda. While developing countries, we can take Nigeria as a good case study. Once again, planning is a pattern used in development agenda, while statistics is a major principle used for planning achieving development objectives. And we can as well conclude that statistical literacy is a regular and systemic use of statistics to achieve national objectives. The outline goes thus: statistical literacy as a device for effective national planning, used prospect of the Nigerian national statistical system and the challenges of Nigerian national statistical system. Statistical literacy as a device for effective national planning development. That national planning objective. It cannot be negotiated because we can see in the past years, unlike before, there's a kind of development going on in the country about statistics development. We recall that in Nigeria, statistical development can be traced to 1928, when the British colonial authority established statistical units in their various offices, though that has gone through many processes. Till date, that we have 2007 Statistical Act, which is a form of, because we legal authority backing statistical activities in Nigeria. Going by the diagram before us, we can see the rising view of statistical development in Nigeria, which can be classified as a kind of improvement in statistical development literacy. And outside of 1928, where Nigeria as a case study of developments going on among developing countries. We can see that in Nigeria, we have three key levels of statistical authority. To date, that we have the national level, we have the state or regional level, likewise the local authority. But if we look at it, they are all working hand in hand, going by the diagram before us. But at the same, we can see is the National Bureau of Statistics that is playing the steering role. If we can look at the prospects of a national development in statistics in literacy in Nigeria, there is no way we won't appreciate the enactment of 2007 Statistical Act, because it has given a way to professionalism through a standardized statistical master plan. Because if we don't have a standard master plan, there is no way we can have an achievable statistical development. Today, we have the state professionals are adequately recognized authorities. And the Statistical Act has also given responsibility to data producer as well as a data user. And so there are laid down rules that you must follow. But and this has not been in existence before. That's why we should appreciate the development concerning the 2017 Act in Nigeria, which I believe is very important, very key, because it has given rules and responsibility to all those involved in statistics. Likewise, the demand for the enactment of statistical reports by the federal government of Nigeria and the private sector for planning and policy measurement has increased tremendously. Because in recent times, there is no project or development agenda that will not consider statistical base before they embark on it. Recently, we can see governments, either at the federal level or the state level, engaging statisticians to do a professional report about development in their various domains, so that the can have a successful development program. And likewise, those in the private sector, exactly as consultants or those in engineering, they do engage statisticians to do a kind of research for them before they can embark on any construction. The demand for statistics as a study course in Nigerian universities has increased, because in recent times we just discovered that students are applying for statistics more than mathematics, and that is a kind of good development to show that a kind of professionalism is going on, and a kind of literacy is also going on, or that everybody now is stylized. There is a clear distinction between being a mathematician and a statistician. An aspect of prospects in Nigerian national statistical system is the role the donor agencies and development partners are playing. All these efforts, we can see it in recent times, and it has improved statistical knowledge and popularity among our people. Apart from that, donor agencies, recent agencies and development partners, they engage in research, they support governments and to carry out research. They follow it up to do, and they come out with their findings for government to realize what is on ground. Likewise, the Federal School of Statistics Ibadan, a milestone development, from where and we can the success of statistics in Nigeria without appreciating the effort of the Federal School of Statistics. The school was started to do a kind of published in 1947. It has been playing a major role even before some universities established the Department of Statistics in various schools. And we realize today that many of the products are scholars, because professionals in statistics and in various fields. In statistics, more than mathematics, to show that it is going on, and that everybody now realize there is a statistician. Is the role the donor agencies, and you can see it in recent times, and it has improved statistical knowledge. Apart from that, they engage in research, they support, and they come out with their findings. Grand. Likewise, a milestone development. No way in Nigeria without appreciating. The school was established even by in the various schools. And realistically, the diagram before us shows which has given us the do and don't about how we go about our statistical endeavors. Then governance framework. You can see National Bureau of Statistics at the center, playing the coordinating role for Nigerian national statistical system. We can also realize the importance of official statistics and data communities still on the national statistical system. We have the private sectors and big data community also collaborating with the success of Nigerian national statistical system. We have the civil scientific data community, the civil society and citizen-based data communities. We should also, we cannot but do without, we should also appreciate the efforts of the academics, their role in research and in business decision. Likewise, we have the SDG data monitoring, Nigerian National Statistics. We can also share statistics and data communities. We have the private sectors and collaborating with the software. We have the scientific citizen-based data resource center. As I've said earlier on, the school has been in existence for so many years. And going by the recognition given to the school by international agencies and visitors. We will recall that in 2015, Professor Eric and his team came to the school for visitation to see things themselves. We have many students there. We run courses in statistics and computer science because of the collaboration between statistics and connection between science and computer science. This again is also the diagram. This diagram is also appreciating the role the International Statistical Institute, we said World Bank, European Commission, DFID, and others has been playing by supporting statistical development in Nigeria. How the international organization, this is how they go about their efforts by assessing what is on ground. They analyze their findings, then they go about the performance and how they can improve statistical know-how, coming out with results and the kind of feedback to come out with a reliable policy output. However, despite the prospects, there are some challenges that is still facing Nigeria's statistical system. Unemployment of professionals. Most times, employment has been, DFID and others has been interest, their efforts by assessing and how they can improve statistical know-how to come out with a reliable policy. There are some challenges that is still facing unemployment of professionals who are not often employed into the influence and capacity to employ the right professionals are lacking. Secondly, some states and local governments do not have functional statistical structure to complement the NBS at the national level. Though the Statistical Act clearly enumerates and apportion roles to the states, local governments to play a kind of pivotal role with NBS. But what we just discover that going to the states and local government level, we discover that they don't have functional structure to complement National Bureau of Statistics. Probably maybe because of funds or lack of will. Poor urban and regional planning poses challenges to timely and reliable data collection. From personal experience, as a data collector for some years, we discovered that at times to locate enumeration area when we go out for a particular survey, one encounters problem in terms of identification of enumeration area because of poor urban planning of our cities. There are no clearly stated demarcation that one can use to identify the actual enumeration area. And the end result of such unfortunate situation may be either over coverage of studies or under coverage of enumeration area. So, for instance, if you are conducting a research, from personal experience, we discover that as we go out for a problem of use to identify the actual maybe either over coverage of studies or of enumeration area. So conducting the research, there's a kind of mix-up because of poor urban and regional planning. And such situation cannot be underestimated because it may not give us the right statistical or reliable statistical output. Data on population census and household composition are often behind schedule in proportion to international standards. Maybe we can attribute this to maybe lack of funding, or government don't really know the implication, because when you cannot be sure of the rate the population is growing, because you need to identify age grade, sex, so that you can make provision for your population. We discovered that in some developing countries, the COVID experience has really exposed us, because we don't have a database of the population, that it became so difficult for government to even make welfare program for the citizens, because they didn't know the right approach to share the welfare palliative. And it means, because in Nigeria, the last time we had our population analysis census was in 2005. That means in the last 5 years, we have been using assumption to take care or make a provision for the citizens. Generally, government inability to take over supported projects after evaluation remains a problem, because we realize that oftentimes when developing partners or those agencies embark on a project, it is supposed to be repeated after some time, but we just discovered that government usually continue such findings. We discovered that developing countries, because we don't have a database of the population, financial, know the right appear palliative. And in Nigeria, the last time we had in 2005, that's to take care in government inability to take over. Going by my, all we realize that oftentimes a base, which is a Federal School of Statistics since 1947, and the old school, but we just discussed. I want to recommend that the school should be supported to become a specialized regional professional and statistical institution through international support or regional support. Because if you look at the location of the school, it was located in the serene environment between University of Ibadan and Nigeria Institute of Social and Economic Research. So I can check the visit but that notwithstanding, we can make recommendations so that the school can serve as a regional center for statistical development. Despite the legal framework, that is 2007 Statistical Act in Nigeria, I want to suggest that a studies can be carried out how far it has been implemented. And this is the essence of statistics. We don't just assume that it is a law that has been established. We can come out with research to tell us whether the framework has been adequately followed. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Thank you. That's the end of the presentation, and I wouldn't know if we have any comments from the audience. Before we do that, I would like to acknowledge some few people. I want to thank Professor Oyi Olubusoye for being there for us from the start till now. And I really appreciate the NISA network for giving me the opportunity to organize this session. And I thank Dr. Tekunri. I also thank Mr. Folabi Said, and I'm thanking Mr. Robert Bosa, who is our lead lab collaborator. He has been the technical behind this presentation. And my final appreciation is to my husband, who is one of the speakers. Thank you for giving this talk. So that's my acknowledgement. So I don't know if there is any comment from the audience. Thank you. Over to you, Eric.
Yes, well, thank you, Dr. Serifat, for organizing this session. And thank you to all of the speakers. I do have a question, really, which, it may have been addressed in some of the talks, but I guess the general question is, what role do stat labs have in addressing some of these concerns about statistical literacy? I mean, the first speaker talked about the actual domain experts and the clients that UI Lisa
Okay.
addressed. And so, from her presentation, we definitely see that there's a big role for stat labs to improve statistical literacy amongst students, amongst staff, throughout the whole university. But I guess so. Beyond teaching workshops or short courses, are there other things that the stat lab can do to improve statistical literacy, and beyond working individually with different domain experts on their individual projects? So it's I think there are answers, and I'll just put it out there. So what can stat labs do, specifically Lisa 2020 stat labs, to improve statistical literacy? And maybe what are other labs doing to try to address this issue?
Okay, Dr. Tekunri, you can react to that question.
In UI Lisa, we organize workshops and trainings, just as you have said. But what we can also do is to take the issue of statistical literacy further to the students themselves by emphasizing on the need to conduct trainings, maybe like short visits to their halls of residencies, to encourage them to visit UI Lisa, so that we can now expose the details of the techniques that are to be needed in their research more to them.
Great.
Yes, I can. Hello.
Okay, hello, Prof.
Yes, I think.
Floor, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I think Eric's question is quite fundamental. As a network, I think we need to begin to have a strong advocacy in this area. And there are different approaches that we can employ to be able to solve this problem. I remember even in UI, when I had the privilege of giving the faculty lecture, I focused the lecture on statistical literacy. And it was so surprising that when I used some of the university bulletins, the information, the tables, analysis they use to justify some of their activities. When I punctured them, I mean, they were so surprised that they were actually giving out information that are statistically biased. So I think we need one to consciously look at documents emanating from our universities, our institutions, and then look at the problems in terms of the quality of the statistical messages that are dished out to the public. And then as a network, we need to brainstorm on how we can really address this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if I can actually say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I first of all want to give a kudos to the organizing committee. I mean, particularly to Professor Olubusoye and the like, who put this kind of, a seminar in place. And I also want to appreciate the presenters because they've done a very great job. I think there's this particular topic that touched me. It has to do with the way media are reporting results. I want to say that some of the media organizations, particularly when you look at election results, some of the media organizations are, they have already been politicized. They take side, just like what happened in the United States, where you have the right media, you have the left media, and of course they took, let me say, the weakness, because if you look at statistical models, there are some statistical models that will give you the results you want, even though the nature around that, the nature statement around that is not true. And there are some statistical model that will give the actual reality. I mean, the reality, there's something very close to reality. So I believe what some media organizations normally want to do in order to favor probably their financial, in order to favor them, they normally want to present results from those poor statistical tools. Because like I said, a lot of statistical models, and depending on whether you follow assumptions, because I believe all statistical models have assumptions, and there are some statistical models you use, the decision you're going to take will be different from, some other ones. So I believe the media organization capitalize on this, because they're going to tell you, we are reporting statistical results. That's what they're going to tell audience. And I think I really appreciate, the essence of this program, to sensitize and to make sure, to force the media organization to use the appropriate statistical methodology. I think it's very, very important. The fact remains that the existence of reality is independent of human knowledge. Therefore, to understand our political environment, economic environment, medical environment, whatever environment, of course, we need to collect data. And the information are not readily available in data. We need to be able to use an appropriate statistical methodology to be able to have the information that we need. I'm afraid, I think some media organizations are reporting, from poor statistical tools. And the part of what we need to do as statisticians, we actually have to force them to use the real statistical method that would lead to drastic reduction in information loss. So once again, I think I appreciate everyone, for putting out this particular program. I benefit from it a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kazim. We really appreciate your comments. Thank you. It's good to see your face again.
Thank you too to
Thank you.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing that that I'm doing in terms of statistical literacy is that, well, so Lisa at the University of Colorado Boulder, we teach some short courses, but those really are about specific statistical topics, and they're not about statistical literacy in general. Like the people who come to the short courses, they're already working with data. They're usually postgraduate students. They are already statistically literate. In fact, they have to be statistically literate to want to come to one of our workshops. But so I have just recently, I've been creating a new course for first year students, for freshmen, for the undergraduates. And the course is aimed really at two different audiences. The first audience are students from the humanities. So these will be students who study literature, language, history, art. And at my university, there is a requirement for a quantitative reasoning requirement that every student must take. And so this course would satisfy the quantitative reasoning course, and it would be a course that is teaches students how to code, how to think statistically, and how to do data science. But the really interesting thing from my point of view, the novel aspect, is that it will be team taught with an English professor, so a professor of English literature, and myself. And we are going to be teaching data science as if it were a humanities subject, because the humanities has they have many ways of thinking and methods of analyzing sources that will be very beneficial for data scientists. And we think that these methods will help all of the students develop data acumen. So really understanding intuitively what the data can tell us, what the data cannot tell us. And so just as an example, as was mentioned earlier, you can take any data set. There are many data sets out there. There are many biases within the data sets. And you can do many different types of statistical analyses. And if you find the right, bad data set, biased data set, you can find any solution that you want to find. And so, to be an effective data scientist, you have to understand the source of the data. How was it collected? Who collected it? What were the human motivations behind the collections of the data? For what purpose, for what original purpose were the data collected? And those types of questions are the same questions that humanities students and professors, staff ask about works of literature. They try to understand the context of a book, as like when it was written, what else was happening in society at that time, who was it that wrote this, what was he or she thinking, what was his background, what was the purpose of this. And we're going to be investigating data sets through that same lens of trying to really understand the source of the data and the human motivations, and then use that information to make good statistical analyses and claims about the data. So anyway, I just am bringing that up to talk to tell you about that. I will be teaching that course in the fall of 2021, so starting in August of this year. And yeah, so that's that's something that really Lisa's not doing it, but I'm doing it to develop a course for the students who really need that. Oh yeah, the other audience will be statistics and data science majors, because this course will satisfy a humanities requirement for those students. And I believe it's really going to make them become better data scientists, because they will learn that data are not just numbers, right? Data are numbers with context. And even beyond that, if you have a biased data set, then your answers will be biased unless you really do really good statistical work to adjust and account for all of the biases in the data collection process. So anyway, I wanted to let the network know about that new initiative. And there was a question from Tulia Esther about the mathematical skills for the human sciences students, so for the humanities students. So the course will require no prerequisites, no prior experience in mathematics, statistics, or programming. And I mean, it will require a basic understanding of probabilities. So the way that I teach probabilities, like the probability, well, we count up in the data set. We ask about probabilities in a data set, so like the probability that this is a very trivial example, but the probability that a person in this data set is male or female, you then you count up how many people are in the data set, you count up how many males are in the data set, and then you do division. And that will tell you the probability of a person in this data set being male. So it's an interesting question about how will we teach data science to students without mathematical background. And I think the key thing is that, well, we'll see. I don't think it will be too much of an issue, because in terms of the calculations, the computer will do the calculations. We're going to be teaching the thinking behind the calculations. So are there any other questions or comments about this topic? Okay. Well, Dr. Serifat, would you Would you like to close the session?
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Professor Evans, for giving us the opportunity for this section. We really appreciate every member of the LISA 2020, and this come to the end of today's session. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.